Indian students normally choose when they come to ICP?
Yeah, well, I mean, the classic obviously is the business and management, but we have just opened nursing as well.
Okay.
We've got a foundation nursing.
So is there any scholarship for the bachelor's students as well, or is it just for the masters?
Yeah, so £2,000 for foundational year one. That's what we can offer. Students need to apply for it.
So is interview a part of the process?
Interviews is a part of the admissions process, yeah.
So is there an IELTS waiver criteria, or it's mandatory?
It's mandatory, yeah.
It's mandatory along with the interview.
Yeah.
So what about the part-time jobs? Are they available in Portsmouth? Because in London and Birmingham, they are the big cities. They have the part-time jobs. But is it the same condition in Portsmouth also?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we know students can work 20 hours a week.
Do you have a dedicated placement cell which helps students with interview skills and CV writing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the University of Portsmouth has a department and they run workshops on CV writing.
Okay, so if I'll ask you to just give me in one sentence why students should study in ICP, what would be that?
Experience, city and culture.
Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Mudit Pandey and I am the co-founder of My Admission Card and president of Sevi Foundation. As you all know, we bring a new guest on every of our episode of Talk to Uni from foreign universities to get you the right guidance. Today I have a special guest in my studio. Her name is Kezia Hall from ICP. Hello Kezia, how are you?
Hi, yeah, very well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me and for the warm
Pleasure
welcome.
is all mine, madam. So Kezia, would you like to just tell the audience something about yourself first?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so my name's Kezia Hall. I've been at ICP, which is based in Portsmouth, for 14 years now, so a long time, firstly in admissions and now in student recruitment. So I am the key contact person for South Asia. This is my first time in India and I'm really delighted to be here as I'm looking after the market and looking after any of the students that come through to ICP. I will be the key contact.
So generally, what is ICP?
So what is ICP? Great question. So we run, we're a pathway provider for the University of Portsmouth. Okay. So we're very much integrated in the University of Portsmouth. We are a city campus and we have one of the university buildings. We offer foundation year one, year two, which is like a pre-top up, and also pre-masters as well. So we have something for every student, basically. All our students get a combined offer for ICP and the University of Portsmouth. So as long as they pass their modules, they're guaranteed progression into the university. And since 2009, we've had over 600 Indian students pass through ICP, which is really incredible.
Okay, so another question from my side. Just treat me as a parent who has a kid who have just passed the A-levels. So what is Pathways and how does it help me to get an admission into the University of Portsmouth?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, especially for parents who are thinking about what their child's going to do overseas. I think, firstly, it's a great stepping stone. I always call it like a stepping stone where students get that extra support. So for students who don't have the academic criteria to get directly into the university, they can use this as like a bridge to get in, basically. So they can come with lower entry criteria and we give them the full support so that they are totally set up to be succeed at the University of Portsmouth. So things like understanding the British curriculum, giving them time to settle into their accommodation, find friends. You know, it's small class sizes. We have a selection of different assessments. The teachers are fantastic. We pride ourselves on well-being as well. We track attendance, all these things that university, which is such a big institution, is unable to do on such a, because it's such a big scale. So we give that really kind of one-to-one guidance and support for those students. So once they get to the university, they're flying. They know how to do it. They know what the assessment structure is. They understand what the lecturers, what the teachers are asking for them, because we've given them that really good stepping stone into the university. moving abroad for a lot of students is their first time ever in the UK, and that's hard. The students come and they feel anxious, and having that support where they say, I know Kezia, I'm just going to call her and I know where she is and I know that the team are there 9 till 5 and we can go and call on them and they, whatever it is, not just academic, any well-being support as well. We know where to go and we know how to get that support and advice and guidance. And the team are fantastic, honestly, at ICP. We pride ourselves on 10 out of 10 student experience for every single student, and we're always working on that as well to improve it.
So how does it affect the tuition fees of a student if he is going directly for a bachelor's or if he is choosing a pathway? What is the major difference?
So the students will have to pay for their first deposit, which covers their first semester. So before they arrive at ICP, they will already be covered for their first semester with that deposit. And then it's kind of like instalments, so they pay then for the upcoming semester, same as they would at university, basically.
So after year 1 and year 2, they progress on to the university.
So it depends what course they're doing. So we offer foundation and year 1 in lots of courses. So for many students coming, for example, a year 1 business and management, they would come in, the tuition fees, including a discount, would be around 14,500. They would study at ICP for a year, which is 2 academic semesters. Then they would progress into the University of Portsmouth for year 2. They can get a progression scholarship as well, which is 2,500. So over the 2 years, they would save around 4,500 on their tuition fees. And then they go into the final year at the University of Portsmouth. So they can do their degree in 3 years, starting at ICP.
That's good for them. They are at the end of the day, they are saving some money.
Yeah.
So does ICP has its own accommodation? Because UK is struggling with the accommodation a lot in the last 2 years. But does ICP has its own? If not, does they help?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we have dedicated accommodation, email and inbox where there's someone on hand to help. We don't have our own accommodation, but we're very connected to all the accommodation providers in the city. So we can easily give that help and advice to students. And many students, because obviously they want to wait for their visa before they secure their accommodation. So sometimes they're even turning up in Portsmouth, they don't have accommodation. We're there to help. So we'll say, find out what the student's budget is. I also encourage students to talk to other students because they're the best source of the best way where to live. That kind of advice is really great from other students. So we try and connect students as well, especially in those first few weeks. We're setting up like a buddy system, so if students want to join that, and then they can get connected with someone who's on their same course or from the same country of residence, so they can get that connection and speak to them about accommodation. Where are you living? What's good? Where's a good area? What kind of, how much can I expect to pay for accommodation as well? Before students even leave India, though, we'll do a pre-departure session with them in terms of like a webinar kind of thing, and we'll say, these are your accommodation options, this is what to expect, this is how to book it, this is how to apply. So a lot of support there for accommodation. We don't have our own, but we're very well connected. We also have access to the University of Portsmouth halls as well. So any halls of residence that the University of Portsmouth can provide, we can book that as well for students, so we can help them.
So how far is the campus from the University of Portsmouth?
So we're in the University of Portsmouth, So ICP is in one of the buildings. University of Portsmouth is like a city campus, so the buildings are all spread out over the city, which I love about that, because you're kind of integrated into the city, which makes it really diverse. You're not separated. You get a real good feel for the community, a real feel for belonging to Portsmouth, not just Portsmouth University, but Portsmouth as a city, which I really love. So, but you can walk around from all the buildings in around 10 to 15 minutes maximum, but some of them are really close. And for ICP students, when they're starting out, the majority of their classes will be in the ICP building. We've got 2 floors of that building, so that's very that's helpful for them when they're
so
they're
they
first.
still get the same environment of the university.
Absolutely,
So
yeah. So all the same
facilities and
facilities, everything. So we all carry campus cards, staff cards, and student cards look the same, and we can just tap into the library, or the sports centre, all the facilities that a University of Portsmouth student would get. Same for ICP students as well.
What about the security?
Security.
How is the security? How secure is the campus?
Yeah, so a great question. I mean, when I'm walking around and students are walking around, the feedback is that they feel kind of safe and secure. Obviously, we always have to maintain a level of, looking after yourselves and making sure you're not kind of walking the streets late at night and things like that. Things do happen, but we do our best to guide students. If we know that there's something happening in the city or in London or in the UK, we do our best to support the students, help them, make them understand as well. For example, there has been some protests in London,
Yes.
And if these kind of things are happening, we send emails and, run a talk to say, this is what's happening, this is why it's happening. And, it's not something that we believe in as an institution, perhaps, but, this is how we can support you. These are the numbers to call if you are in trouble. So all we can do is really provide that support and that cushion for students if they need it.
So how far is it from London?
An hour and a half, yeah. So we're very well connected. We are on the south coast. We're a little island city surrounded by 4 miles of beach. So we're like on the seaside, but it's only an hour and a half from London. So it's a really great destination for maybe students who have got friends and family in London. So they want to visit on a weekend, but they still get that kind of seaside beach. I mean, it's still a city, so there's enough to do. I think sometimes when I say you can walk around and it's beach, people think in a little village or something. But no, it's a really great size. You can walk around, but there's plenty to do, plenty going on for students. And yeah, we've got obviously Southampton is only half an hour away. There's an airport there, so for going into Europe, very easy. The other side, we've got Brighton as well, which is a really great, cool city that students love to visit. So there's
what are
lots
the
of
famous courses that the Indian students normally choose when it comes to ICP?
Sorry, say that again.
What are the famous courses that Indian students normally choose when they come to ICP?
Yeah, well, I mean, the classic obviously is the business and management, but we have just opened nursing as well.
Okay.
We've got a foundation nursing, which has been very popular, and I've seen a lot of applications
What is
coming
the
through.
criteria for because this is a famous and popular course in India. So what is the entry criteria for nursing foundation?
Yeah, so for the HSC, so students that are doing their 12, you'd need 50%.
Okay.
For that, and the English would be IELTS 5.5 or equivalent.
So is biology as a subject is mandatory?
No. So they need maths. They would
Maths.
need an element of maths, but we don't look for science subjects.
Okay.
Yeah. We do take into year one, a lot of year one science courses, like biochemistry is quite popular, biomedical science, these kind of ones are a bit.
Biomedical is
I've seen that been quite popular as well recently. We have an artificial intelligence course. I can't remember the full name of it now, but yeah, it's an AI course, and that's becoming very popular as well. And we articulate to that through our engineering pathway.
Do we have a master's program also? Pre-masters?
We've got a pre-masters program, which is 1 semester, and that leads into the year-long masters course as well.
Okay.
So students can get a discount on the pre-masters. We're offering £1,000 off, and they still get that progression scholarship when they go to the university as well, which is £2,500.
So is there any scholarship for the bachelor's students as well, or is just for the masters?
Yeah, so £2,000 for foundational year 1. That's what we can offer. Students need to apply for it, so they can contact me. I'll send them a form and they just fill it in, and they can get the discount. Yeah.
So is interview a part of the process?
Interviews is a part of the admissions process. Yeah.
Okay.
It's conducted with the team that I sit with in Portsmouth, the admissions team. They're lovely, friendly team, and they're very much there to understand why the student has applied for that course, why the student's applied to Portsmouth, why the UK. And these are questions that students would get asked as well, perhaps like in a visa interview. So it's very much kind of mirroring that and getting a real sense of why the student wants to go to the UK. Once they clear their interview, they get their unconditional offer. There's no more interviews after that, from ICP. So that will be they will be clear to get pay and get their CAS.
So is there an IELTS waiver criteria, or it's mandatory?
It's mandatory, yeah.
It's mandatory along with the interview.
Yeah, exactly. So we do take PTE as well, and we've got the PVT test, which is like a internal invigilated one. So we've got some alternatives to IELTS, but yet students need to demonstrate a level of English.
So do you have any internal test of your own, or is just the external ones that you recognize?
Yeah, the external ones.
Only the external one that you recognize.
Yeah.
So Kezia, when somebody invests some money, especially when it comes to a price-sensitive market like India, they always look for the way to recover that money, and they call it ROI, return on investment, which I don't like this word, but unfortunately this is how they mention it. So what about the part-time jobs? Are they available in Portsmouth? Because in London and Birmingham, they are the big cities, they have the part-time jobs. But is it the same condition in Portsmouth also?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we know students can work 20 hours a week, and we know many of our students will take that opportunity to do that, to help with their maintenance, help with the living costs, which is absolutely fine. We have a dedicated faculty at the University of Portsmouth called Careers and Employability. They help with CV writing. They promote part-time jobs that are happening in the city as well. Again, I say to students, talk to your friends. Where are your friends working? Get to know what they're doing, and then you can get.
So do you have a dedicated placement cell which helps students with interview skills and CV writing? Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, the University of Portsmouth has a department, and they run workshops on CV writing, interview tips as well. For many students, that's quite nerve-wracking going into an interview. So they run things like that, and at ICP we can provide support as well. If we see part-time jobs around the city, we're sharing it to our Instagram stories all the time, so students become aware of it as well. We also have recently changed the structure of teaching so that students only will have lessons over 4 days, not 5. So still the same amount of hours, but more condensed to 4 days, so that students, if they do want to choose that another day to work part-time, or study, or go and see their friends in London, whatever they want to do, they've got that extra day. So they've got 3 days of kind of rest or work if they want to do the 20 hours of work
so
over 3 days. So
how do we call it an employability rate? Because most of the universities in UK have some certain employability rate. What about the ICP? Or the University of Portsmouth?
Yeah, so I think this is a great question, and I think this is really important for students, especially when thinking about return on investment. What will happen to me? When I've got my degree, how can I what will the job market look like for me? I think one of the most important things that I've seen coming out of the University of Portsmouth is the placements that they do. So the majority of courses have a placement option. So we don't put it on the offer letter to start with, because it is optional for students. They need to apply for it. The University of Portsmouth has a fantastic department helping students find placements in and around Portsmouth, so it might be out of Portsmouth, but they'll help find companies that will do that. They've also introduced this thing called connected degrees, which is really unique to Portsmouth. So traditionally, students would do their placement year between their second and third year. The connected degrees gives them the option to do it after they finish their studies. So perhaps they do their bachelor's for 3 years. For example, say a student comes into year 1 business and management at ICP, does year 2, year 3 at the University of Portsmouth and graduates. Then they can do their 4th year as a placement, so that the university can help them in industry. Why this is really important as well is for students that want to take up the post-study work visa perhaps after that. Getting them into industry, getting them into a placement will really help with making those connections, networking, finding out, how can they get that post-study work visa? How can, because you have to get into a company, companies need to employ these students. So I think it's a really good stepping stone again into the work, into industry. So students could do 3 years studying and then 2.5 years. Yeah.
To get. So is SOP also a part of the admission process? SOP and LOR.
The
SOP statement.
The personal statement.
Yeah.
Not always. It depends. If students have a very long study gap, for example, the admissions team might ask for them to kind of write about why, why they've had a study gap, why they're coming back to study now, and just to kind of get to understand what they've been doing in that gap. But as a standard, if students have have just come out of school, come out of their 12th and they're applying, it wouldn't be necessary to do a personal statement or a CV.
Okay, so if I'll ask you to just give me in one sentence why students should study in ICP, what would be that?
In one sentence. I think experience, city and culture. Okay. I think so. The experience students will get in ICP and in Portsmouth is really important. We're able to nurture students in this wonderful city surrounded by beach, and they will really get the best experience.
So is it experience or nurture or city culture?
Three things. Okay,
that's not a problem. So now I'll ask you to rate University of Portsmouth, ICP out of 10. So if you have to personally rate it out of 10, what are the marks that you will give it?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I think, obviously I'm going to say, top marks. I believe in it. I'm passionate about it. I would never come and talk about something that I really didn't believe in. I've seen firsthand. I'm doing a master's at the moment in digital marketing at the University of Portsmouth. Okay. So I know that the teaching is fantastic. But I also know from students that are in the class that have done the ICP part, I didn't do a pre-master's, but the students that did, they really had that bridge. They really had that stepping stone. They were able to go straight in and really understand how to get stuck in and what is needed from a master's, what the lecturers are expecting, and that's how ICP sets them up.
Great.
Yeah.
So, and if you have to rate our podcast, then how many?
Oh, 10 out of 10, yeah. Because you asked me on, so.
Me, Mudit, as a host.
10 out of 10, yeah. Thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah.
So thanks a lot, Kezia, for coming on our show today and helping the students around. We'll keep the things straightforward, and if we'll see if any inquiry come through the student, we'll forward it to your team.
Please do, and I'm happy to speak to any students as well. However I can help. Thank you so much for inviting me on, and look forward to working with you.
And to all of you, if you have any questions, please do not forget to put it comments on our YouTube video, and one of our team members will definitely come back to you as soon as possible. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Kezia.
Thank you. Hello, my name's Kezia Hall. I'm the Student Recruitment Manager at ICP. I'm here to support Mudit Pandey on the Say No to Suicide campaign, and I just want to say that if you're feeling lonely, down, suicide is not the option. Reach out. There are people who can support and help you. So please do reach out and get that support that you need. It's not the only way out.